Hey everyone, it's that time of the year again, so welcome back to my channel, and here is your 2020-2021 TMEA All-State Band Audition Etude video series. Today I'm going to be playing from your Voxman book. This is page number 4 by Blazhevich. It is the G minor Lento Etude number 2. Make sure you watch all the way to the end because I'm going to be giving playing tips after I play through the etude. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed my rendition of this G minor Lento etude by Blazhevich, which is your TMEA etude number 2 for this year. When you are preparing any piece of music for audition, whether it's an etude like this from the Voxman book, or an orchestral excerpt, or a trombone solo, or a jazz tune, or anything, if it's for an audition, you need to ask yourself these 2 questions. Question number 1 is, why are they asking this? Why is the audition committee asking this? What are they looking for? What are they listening for? What do they want to hear? Question number 2 is, where is the spot that everyone else is going to mess up? So to answer question number 1, I would say with this etude number 2, they are looking for your sense of musicality. How well can you not only play the notes on the page, but can you turn them into music? Can you tell a story with your playing? Can you tell a story with your tone color? Can you really embody, the meaning of this piece? What are you thinking about when you're playing it? Can you have a dark, forlorn, angsty kind of tone as you go through this piece? Can you build drama? Can you make a story? Can you tell a story? You want to kind of draw people in with your sound and your musicality. You want to make them interested in what you have to say. Can you utilize rubato to take you in and out of phrases and kind of speed up and slow down as the tune goes on to kind of create some more interest? So this G minor etude number 2 is the only one of this year's etudes that has tempo changes in it. We have a tempos, we have ritardandos, we have stringendos, rallentandos. We'll get into all of those a little later in the video. But take advantage of all these opportunities to make music. Etudes 1 and 3 this year are just like straight to tempo. They're very technical, they just drive right through. So make sure this etude number 2, they're asking it so you can play music. I know that sounds simple, but just think of that. Play music, tell a story. As far as all the different tempo changes go, I would certainly choose a few different tempos, maybe a few different ways of executing the phrases, and then record yourself and listen back. See which one you like best. I definitely played around with a lot of different tempos and a lot of different ways to approach this before I settled on the final version that you heard here. So I'm looking at my book here. A great example of how to utilize the tempo to demonstrate what I was talking about. Be musical, be angsty, tell a story. One of those spots is the pickups to bar 7 all the way through bar 12. So in bar 7, we have this poco ritardando. Poco means a little bit, and we should all know ritardando now, which means slow down or gradually slow the tempo. So we kind of slow down here. I like to take a breath after that, and then we have poco stringendo, or it says poco stringe, period, which is short for stringendo. Again, poco means a little bit, and stringendo in Italian means clutching. So when I think of that, I think of something super dramatic, right? You want to like clutch the listener and bring them in, make them super interested in what you're going to play. So I like to think of the intensity kind of increasing here. So you can do that in a lot of ways. You can utilize the crescendo that's written. You can also drive the tempo forward ever so slightly just to kind of create this tension. You can certainly experiment with changing your tone color there. Just kind of as that phrase goes, it should just like have a little more tension, a little more tension, a little more tension. It's going somewhere, right? So tell a story. Where is it going? Do something different in your playing there to add interest, to add some drama, to add some excitement, to pull the listener or the audition committee in. And now at the end of bar 10, again, we see ritardando. R-I-T is short for ritardando, which means to slow down. So we can slow down the tempo again there. And then in measure 11, we see a tempo, which a tempo means to return to the original tempo. So within those bars, bar 7 through measure 12, we have so many different things going on with the tempo. We're slowing down, we're speeding up, we're getting more intense. We can also get louder, then we're slowing down again, then we're returning back to the original tempo. So don't be afraid to experiment with all these things and make the phrase go where you want to go. These instructions are in here for a reason, to make music, to add intensity, to create drama. Use these words, they'll work to your advantage. Take a listen to how I played it again and see if you can hear the difference. See if you can hear these kinds of things that I was just talking about. There are opportunities to take advantage of this kind of music making all over this piece. So do exactly that. Take advantage of them. So we already started on this, we've already kind of been touching on it, but let's just make sure we go through the rest of the piece and make sure we know every single musical definition. It's common for a lot of music, the definitions and the directives are all written in Italian. So unless you're fluent in Italian, bravo to those of you who are, you're gonna need to go through and know what these words mean. They're directions to suggest how you should play the music. Okay, so the very first one is our tempo marking, which is lento. Lento simply means play slowly. So this piece does have a rather slow tempo. So underneath bar 1, we see dolce e sostenuto. Dolce means sweetly, softly, with a tender emotion. Sostenuto means sustained. So these two words right here give you a pretty good idea of how to approach this piece. We want it emotional, kind of soft, and we want it smooth, sustained. We don't really want any crazy harsh articulations or anything too loud or like harsh attacks. This should be a very smooth kind of approach. So we already talked about poco ritardando and poco stringendo. In bar 7, we have crescendo. This is the abbreviation for crescendo. We should all know this one by now. It means get louder or gradually get louder. In measure 24, we see poco roll, which is short for poco rallentando. We already talked about what poco means. It means a little, and rallentando means to gradually get slower. So a little get slower. Basically, just get slower little by little. So the definition for rallentando is very similar to ritardando. They both mean to gradually get slower. But in my mind, I always think of a rallentando being a touch more dramatic than ritardando, or maybe you slow down just a little bit more. That's kind of how I like to differentiate between the two. Now let's talk about question number 2 that you need to ask yourself every time you're preparing something for an audition. Where's the spot that everyone else is gonna mess up? So the reason you need to concern yourself with this is because you need to be aware of the most challenging spots of the etude. In an audition setting, if there is one spot or maybe a few tricky spots that you know most people are gonna mess up at, and if you play it right, you are really gonna stand out to the audition committee. So it's really important to be aware of where you think those spots are. I guarantee you there's a spot in every single piece where the audition committee kind of sits on the edge of their seats and waits for you to mess up. It's usually the most challenging part. So let's kind of go through and identify where these spots are. One of the spots I identify that I think a lot of people are gonna mess up, especially at the high school level where we are still developing our range, are definitely the high B flats in measures 3, 23, and 28. If you can really nail that high B flat every time, I guarantee you're gonna stand out from your competitors. There are 2 things you need to be working on to make sure that you can play these B flats consistently every single time. Make sure you can really nail them. The first thing is, if you haven't already, you need to be implementing some sort of high range exercise into your warm-up routine and making sure that you are getting better and better in your high register every day, being able to play higher and higher every day. I have a few videos with exercises for this on my channel. I'll put the links down in the description so you guys can check those out if you're interested in some range building exercises. The next thing that's really gonna help you nail these high B flats is being able to just hear the pitch in your head. A lot of times a missed note comes because we're not hearing the pitch. You have to literally, like, when you close your eyes, you need to hear that pitch in your head. Okay? If you can't hear that high B flat, if you can't hear it and then be able to sing it, and if you're so inclined, buzz it, and then play it, you know, you're just shooting in the dark, especially as we get higher and higher up in the overtone series. You just need to be able to hear that note. So not only being able to hear that high B flat, but also hearing the other notes surrounding it or the other notes leading up to it. So in the examples in this etude, every time that high B flat happens, measure 3, measure 23, measure 28, there is this arpeggio leading up to it. So this is where knowing musical vocabulary and being able to identify sets of patterns come in. Music is all about just patterns. It's the same patterns over and over again. And the larger patterns that we can identify, the faster and quicker we can learn and play music. So this arpeggio leading up to the high B flats every time is a G minor arpeggio. So it starts on the 5th, which is a D, and ends on the 3rd, which is a B flat. So the notes are D, G, B flat, D, G, B flat. I would make sure you're super comfortable playing your G minor arpeggios every single which way. You should be able to play them up and down and all around, starting on any note, and play them all over the range of the instrument. Upside down, all around. So just get used to what that sounds like. What does G minor sound like? What does a G minor arpeggio sound like? If you can really just get inside that sound and learn the whole sound as a concept, we're not really worrying about that high B flat because it's just part of this larger thing or this larger pattern. A really good way to practice this is with a drone. Put on your drone and just play around and find where all of these notes lie. You can do it really slowly and just practice that arpeggio all the way across the entire instrument. An exercise that you can try that combines these two ideas, getting really familiar with the sound of that minor arpeggio and increasing your range every day, strengthening your range note by note, is taking this pattern, this G minor arpeggio, down a full octave. Okay, so transposing it down a full octave and then transposing it up one half step at a time. You're gonna get those intervals kind of in your ear, and you're gonna gradually increase your range. You'll be playing that high B flat in no time, and you can even take this higher than that. It's like the possibilities are endless. As you're going through and you're finding these spots that you're having trouble with, go ahead and create your own exercise. I always think that's kind of the most fun part about practicing. As we're going through any etude, there's gonna be spots you have trouble with. So create a little exercise that's going to help you and put it into your warm-up. We shouldn't only be practicing these etudes, when we pull out the music. You should take little elements of them and sprinkle them into your warm-up, whether that's practicing the key, right? So doing a lot of studies in G minor, practicing your minor arpeggios, increasing your range, all these things we can implement into our warm-up and will also help us execute this etude when it's go time. So thank you so much for watching the video. Again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm on social media at Lisa Liz Trombone. You can hit me up, you can leave a comment down below, send me a DM. I'd be happy to kind of talk you through any of the stuff we talked about today. I also give Zoom lessons, so if you want to take a lesson, I'll put my lesson website down in the description so you can check that out. Best of luck and happy practicing. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I also have videos for etude number 1 and etude number 3 coming very soon. Good luck.